Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's
Hello.
webinar. Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm a TEFL advisor at TEFL Org. I'm coming to you from very chilly British Columbia in Canada. Today, we will be talking to Thomas, who's our online and academic manager.
Hello, everybody.
And you're coming from sunny Spain,
Uh,
I
I'm in
believe.
Madrid in Spain, yeah.
Yeah, much warmer. Okay, cool. So today we'll be talking about Thomas's experience teaching English for over 30 years, I believe.
Mhm.
Any advice? Kind of talking about our tutors and our courses. So if you have any questions, just pop them in the comments. We'll get to your questions after we've just done a little Q&A. And let us know where you're from and say hi. So I'll just let Thomas now introduce himself. Thomas, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I'm Thomas. I'm Scottish, but I've been living in Madrid for 30 odd years. I've been teaching for 30 odd years as well. Teacher training for about 20 odd years. I started, I've taught everything. I've taught all different levels, business English, young learners. I've been director of studies and several English schools, languages schools. I've also taught a little bit in France, a little bit in Portugal. But my main place is here in Madrid. What else? I've taught online. I've taught also lots of face-to-face. So I've done a bit of everything really. And I started working with TEFL Org, the TEFL Org, in 2008 when it first started. I think I joined a week after it started. So I've been here from kind of a point zero really.
You're one of the OGs.
I am, yeah. And I just love it. So I'm still around.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, if like Thomas said, he's got plenty of experience in all types of different teaching. So if you do have any questions, then just let us know.
Yes, please.
Just got a few people saying hi. So we've got Mumpy from Switzerland. Hello. Flor from Northern France. Very nice. Welcome everyone. So yeah, just leave comments if you've got any questions. We'll get to them shortly. Great. So let's get started. Thomas, so you told us a little bit about your teaching experience there, but would you like to just go into a bit more depth? Kind of what's your kind of favorite type of teaching, or what do you do at the moment, etc., etc.
At the moment, because I'm the online courses manager. So my job is I work with the online tutors. We have 10 of them in total, and I just make sure that I check all the feedback, that the feedback's only the best and highest quality feedback, and that it's all standardized in the sense that it all matches our accreditation criteria, our accreditors' criteria. So I check that on a daily basis. I support and help tutors if they need it, or students if they need any extra support. I also do some online tutoring myself just to keep my hand in there because I just love doing it too. Um, and we also, we gather, something that's really precious are our students' feedback. And I bank all our students' feedback and we put it all in the mix. And that helps us to improve our courses for people in the future. Because I think all our students, they're doing the course, they get a feel of it. And I want to know what they have to say. And I also make sure that our course is really up to date with today's methodology. I make sure that anything needs changed, it gets changed straight away. And just try to make sure it's the highest quality and everybody's enjoying themselves, really. What else do I do? Lots of other things. I'm also keep in touch. I actually have meetings regular basis with the tutors. so they can ask me questions. And also I get lots of ideas with tutors, maybe some activities we have in the online program. Maybe some tutor says, well, why don't we change this? Something new's come into the market. So we're constantly changing and moving forward all the time. So, and in fact, to be honest, there's not enough time in the day to get everything done.
Yeah, I can imagine. It sounds like it.
Yeah.
So you talked a bit about the tutors there. How many tutors do we have, and what's their experience?
We have 10 online tutors. We have more tutors if we count the classroom tutors and the virtual course tutors. The experience, I mean, we've been really lucky in the sense that the online tutors that we have been around for years. So they're happy working with the TEFL Org. They all have many, many years of actual teaching experience. I think the one with the less experience in teaching is 15 years. All of them have more than 5, easily more than 6 or 7 years of teacher training experience. They've all done a TEFL course at some point in their career, probably years ago, and most of them have done what we call the Delta or the Trinity Diploma, which is a kind of higher level than the TEFL course. And all of the online tutors have also done a master's in linguistics or a master's in ESL. So you need to be assured that you're in really good hands with your tutors, and they have lots of experience. All of them are teaching at the moment. Not only are they online tutors for us, they're also teaching too. So, they really know their stuff. So you have any problems, feel free to email your tutor, who'd be really happy to help.
Yeah, exactly. They're always just an email away. Hey. So just got some comments coming in. Hi to Boca from Zambia. Mana from USA. Hello. We've got students from Italy and from Germany. Hello. Thank you and welcome. Please do keep posting your questions. I can see there's some coming through already. Okay, so one more question we've got is, what are employers and schools looking for their candidates for teachers, in your experience?
Well, obviously, every school is different. I mean, it depends what they're looking for. But in general, I mean, I think I've been a director of studies and I've had a pile of like 200 CVs to go through. So, what do you look for? You look for, I think, well, I did anyway, and I think most of our friends they call them a DOS, a Director of Studies, the thing they're looking for is a CV that stands out in the sense that you can tell the tutor is passionate about their work. You can tell the applicant is passionate, has passion for their work. And they're really into making classes fun and interesting and focusing on students' needs. I think that's what we're looking for in a CV. Because at the end of the day, you don't want a teacher that says, this is my way I teach and this is my style. It's very rigid in their way, because they won't go on with all the students, So they're looking for something that's someone that reflects passion in their work, and that their classes are fun, and that they know how to make a really motivating, fun lesson plan. There's maybe as well that they know how to focus on the way people like to learn. Not everybody likes to do grammar exercises, Oh, sorry, my thing is falling off. Not everybody likes to do grammar exercises. Some students
Technical
like to
issues.
get up and run, run around the class and do things. So lots of kinesthetic stuff. So I think teachers are looking for someone that mentions that they know how to do all this stuff. And of course, employers are also looking for someone that's done a TEFL course. So make sure you do a TEFL course, because that's key.
Yeah. Brilliant. What is covered in our virtual courses? So what does a virtual classroom look like?
I think the virtual class brings the online course to life. In saying that, some people say, do I need to do the online course before I do the virtual course? No, not really. You don't. You can or you don't have to. It depends. There's benefits work both ways. But it really brings it to life in a virtual sense. So when you're in your online you're in your virtual class, you get the chance to see a tutor actually using all the kind of activities that you'd have in a lesson or a skills plan or a PP plan, and how to do them online virtually. And you also get the chance to do that because the tutor's building you up so that you know how to do this and make a PPP or a skills plan actually virtually, and you get the chance to make a plan, well, two plans actually, a PPP one and a skills one, and actually do them with your classmates as if they're your students. And it's great because you also get to it's all done on Zoom. There's a pre-course for this, with videos and screenshots to show you how to get hooked up into Zoom, and a preview of the different tools that you can use on Zoom. So make sure you do the pre-course first, and you only get the pre-course if you're doing a virtual course. And in class, and when you're doing the virtual, your tutor will also show you how to use the tools in Zoom. And they're great because there's like a whiteboard, there's colored pens to use, and Zoom even has breakout rooms, so you can put your students in pairs and get them doing conversations together. You can jump in and out of the breakout rooms, monitoring and helping, and bring them all back together again for feedback and eliciting. And you'll learn to do all that, and you'll actually do it in a virtual course. So they're really great fun, and you learn lots. And by the way, for people who are a bit worried about technology and stuff, it's really easy and it's not as hard as you think. And once you do it, you'll be really proud of yourself. I know I was the first time I did it.
And it's actually really useful as well for those hoping to teach online, I think, as well, because the way the classes are set up, it's obviously kind of in a similar vein to how you would teach too. I mean, Zoom is used quite a lot for teaching online as well, so it'd be helpful.
Well, I mean,
for that
since
too.
lockdown and stuff, I mean, I
Exactly.
know, I've got friends who are teachers, and when lockdown came, they said, and I said to them, "Why don't you teach online?" They said, "No, I'm not very good with computers, and I'm really terrible," and they didn't want to do it. And a couple of my friends, I said, "Why don't you do our teaching English online advanced course?" "No, it's a bit scary for me. I'm not very tech savvy." I said, "You don't have to be." Anyway, lockdown went on for quite some time, and they weren't getting paid at the end of the month. And
Yeah.
so a lot of people were kind of forced into doing online. And once they started doing it, they were like, wow, this is really fun. And I actually know people now who started doing online and they won't go back to face
Yeah.
because they're quite happy doing it at home. So
Yeah, exactly. It's a very useful skill to have, even if you don't use it kind of all the time. Being able to teach online is definitely an advantage these days, for sure.
and it's not hard, it's really easy. You just have to, just practice a little bit and you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. And the virtual courses are really useful for that, I think. So thanks, Thomas. So what's covered online in the online courses?
Well, the online course, it depends on the package that you
Of
buy.
course,
But
yeah.
if you get, for example, the 120-hour one, that consists of, and this is kind of the order we highly recommend you do it in. The first one is the grammar module, then it's the methodology module, and then the video observation module. And after that, the two specialist modules. One is teaching large classes and one is teaching English on the telephone. Now, some people say to me, yeah, but teaching on the telephone, that's we don't need that now with online. You know, I know lots of people that are teaching English just on the telephone. And why? Because so many people who work in offices, and they have to pick up the telephone to customers, and they don't have visual clues, so they don't see them on Zoom. So they want classes on the phone where they can't see the person speaking. So it's just the voice that they hear, and they want to practice that. So actually, the telephone class is very, very useful. So those are the courses, that the modules for the online course. and that's the kind of best sequencing to do them in.
What's kind of involved in those? So, like, what do you learn in the grammar and methodology, for instance?
Well, the grammar, I mean, I'm sure most people are like me when I first started teaching. I mean, I never got taught any grammar at school at all.
Right?
I mean,
No.
nothing. And I remember I actually started teaching without doing a TEFL course because I actually ended up in Madrid, and I had a job in a bar. I was 30 odd years ago, and someone asked me to do a private class in English, and I said, "Yeah, okay." And I went in there, and the girl said, "Yeah, I've got a grammar um, exam coming up. Can you help me with that?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay." And I kind of didn't really know what to do, so I thought, So I got a grammar book and I started it. But I did this for a while, and then I realized that I needed to do a TEFL course, and I did a TEFL course.
Yeah.
And in the TEFL course, you learn not every single piece of grammar there is in the language, but you learn the main points that you will be expected to know when you're out there teaching. Now, it's really important to know this, that when you finish the grammar course, as I say, it's just the main grammar points that your students will probably do in exams and things that you'll learn on the grammar course. But it's very important to remember that you're not expected to know all the grammar when you finish a grammar course. The grammar course is really just a window into
Yeah.
what grammar is. And it's impossible to remember all. I mean, like most teachers say, and it happened to me too, you really learn the grammar when you're actually planning your lessons and you're teaching it,
Yeah.
because students ask you questions from different points of view. And so you kind of start planning your class around their questions. And that's when you really learn the grammar.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
The
And
methodology.
yeah, methodology.
Yeah, I mean, the methodology just teaches you the theory and the methodology behind TEFL. TEFL is based on kind of communicative English. So you learn the language through lots and lots of communication. It's very eclectic. What does eclectic mean? It means that we take methods from all different, we take bits from all different methods. Um, so for example, you're teaching in a class of 14 students. Not all 14 students learn the same. So we don't teach them all the same way. So TEFL tries to focus on the way students like to learn. And then we try to make our classes eclectic using visuals, kinesthetic, all different ways, so that everybody gets a chance to learn the way they like. And this also creates lots of fun, useful memory hooks for students so that they can kind of help them to learn in a more fun way,
Yeah,
I think, in a more
definitely.
personal way.
Yeah,
And
adapting is key, isn't it, to help the students learn?
yeah, and in the methodology course also, it builds you up into making a skills and a PP lesson plan. And you'll get lots of tutor support when you do that.
Mm,
Lots of good guidance and feedback from your tutor.
brilliant. So just going a little further into that, how are the students assessed in the courses?
And the students are assessed. I mean, for example, the idea is that you do like a unit, you do a section, maybe reading or
Mm,
maybe video or maybe both. And, video could be like seeing a teacher in action. And then at the end of it, there would be like a range of maybe a quiz or a set of quizzes to kind of test you on that. Now, those quizzes, you need to get a certain score to pass, 70% or 100%, depends on the quiz. We also have the level 5 courses, which are a kind of higher level course. So they're actually more, there's more to those courses. There's more modules and there are more quizzes. Now the quizzes, you have unlimited goals. Why? The more you do a quiz, I mean, if you do a quiz on a grammar point, the more you do it, the more you retain the grammar. So we don't mind that you do 20 times, that's fine. And you're not
mm,
penalized for it at all. Because the more you do the quiz, the more you're recycling, and hopefully that helps you to learn it. And then not in the grammar course, but in the other courses, there are strategically placed tutor marked assignments. And the tutor marked assignments, in theory, you've got 3 attempts to do to pass a tutor marked assignment. But to be honest, I mean, if you're working hard and we can see that you're nearly there, we'll give you an extra go or two, so don't worry about that. Your tutor, if your tutor thinks you're going to fail one, they will give you guidance and written feedback of what you need to do to pass that. So, and if you're struggling at any point, like you said before, Rachel, email your tutor. They're there to help, and they're really happy to help you. That's their job. That's what they're there for. They love their job and they want to help you.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Okay, so do you have any top tips for studying your TEFL certificate online?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of listened to when I did my TEFL course, and I've listened to what friends have done their TEFL course said, and other students. And with me, anyway, I would say take your time if you can. I mean, some people, because of a visa or a job, they need to kind of rush through it. You can always go back to it again and print out the PDFs and save the videos and go through it all again. I would say take your time, take notes. I mean, I'm a note taker. Everybody's different. Some people like to put things in graphs on their computer. I'm a note taker. I like to take notes. I like to color code my notes. Quite a lot of people actually like to do that. Reflection is really important too. I know that some students, they're kind of going through the course and it's boom, 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 boom. And they're like, there's a lot of information because there's so much information and they get overwhelmed. A really good piece of advice is stop, walk away and take a break. I know that in the past when I've been studying, the penny tended to drop when I was actually walked away from the course and was taking my dogs out for a walk, you know? So I would be studying something and I said, okay, take my dogs out for a walk, think about in the fresh air, walking around, thinking about, what I've just learned. And that's kind of when I learned better. And a lot of students have had the same thing. So do something like take notes, put stuff on graphs or whatever, the way that you like to helps you to remember stuff. Stop, take a break, take regular breaks, and reflect on the work that you've done before you move on to the next part.
Yeah,
I
I think
think that's the best
yeah, I was just gonna
advice.
say when I was if you're learning online as well, I think taking a break is really helpful because your brain can only look at a screen or concentrate on something on the screen for so obviously people learn differently, but I think it's that you need different kind of learning skill set if you're learning online rather than kind of in a live interactive class where you're being stimulated all the time. So
I mean, you
definitely, yeah.
can. And I mean, another good piece of advice is, I mean, there's two things that a lot of tutors could use, a lot of students could use, sorry. And we've got our forum. I mean, our
Yeah.
forums, you've all got access to the forum. When you're doing your course, you just go down to the bottom of the page and you'll see, click on forum. And you can ask other students for any advice or help. And you can even ask for a study buddy. Now, we need everybody's work to be different, and we have ways of checking to make sure that everybody's work's different because you can't submit the same work as a friend or anything. So if you have a study buddy, that's great, but make sure your work is different. Study buddies are great to help with grammar and the methodology and to get through the course, because I think sometimes online learning you can feel a bit isolated sometimes. So regular connection with your tutor, using the forum, and also asking for a study buddy is there's some great ideas. And in fact, I've got some students who have actually set up a group on Instagram or Facebook with other students, and they've worked together, helping each other with their courses doing that. So
Oh,
these are all really
that's really
fun ways to make online study more fun.
definitely. Yeah, and that's a good point as well. Kind of getting involved in the more community-minded groups on Facebook,
Yeah.
on Instagram. That's a really good way to kind of connect with other students as well and realize that you're not alone and there's worldwide support. Um, Brilliant. Okay, that's some good top tips. any benefits of completing an advanced course once you're qualified up to 120 hours?
There are so many benefits for these advanced courses. Why? I mean, I know when I was a DOS, Director of Studies, another thing that would stand out in a CV was if someone had done an advanced course. Why? Because, for example, if I was looking for a business English teacher and someone has done a TEFL course, I mean, that was just key to have done a TEFL course. And then they've also done like a business English advanced course. I think, okay, this student I can put there in a business class. They've specialized in this, and that would make the CV stand out. And I'd have more confidence that that teacher would be comfortable in a business class and know the differences in approach and methodology to a business class and a normal general English class. It's the same with we have advanced courses on business English, young learners, and also the teaching English online courses. So these advanced courses really do help you to specialize, and they really do demonstrate to a future employer or a director of studies that you specialize in a certain kind of English. And I think they make you more employable, and they make your CV stand out from the rest. And you'll learn a lot as well, of course. You'll learn lots and lots and lots.
Yes, of course, that's always useful. Okay, I think that's all the questions we had sorted, but we'll get to some of your questions now. I'll just see, let's see who else has joined us. We've got quite a lot of comments here. That's great. We've got Adenike from Canada. Hello.
Hello.
We've got Aura from Venezuela. Hello.
Hello.
Cool. So we'll get to some of your questions now. We've got one from Susie here, who I think is one of your students. So she says, hi, and
hello,
she
Susie.
loves your feedback. She says you're very inspiring. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
She says, any advice for new teachers, especially during the first weeks, once you get a job?
For the first weeks, once you get a job, advice, yeah, definitely plan your classes really well. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, most teachers, myself included, when you first do your first lessons, it takes ages to do a really good lesson plan, a lesson plan that you're happy with. Don't worry about that. I mean, I'm talking about hours here, right? I remember my first lesson plan, it took me 5 hours, and I thought, oh, but then, you get it took ages because you just want it to be so perfect, but you get better and better at it. So don't worry about that. And then you can recycle plans. Another good piece of advice is make sure you have too many things to do in your lesson plans, because running out of material I remember once I had an hour and a half lesson. This was like one of my first lessons, and the student used up all the materials. Now, I don't know if it was me because I was a new teacher, my pacing was wrong or what. 45 minutes the student finished everything, and I didn't have any extra materials, and we ended up just chatting. Now that's really good chatting, because the student gets practicing, but 45 minutes is too much. So my advice is, when you do, for example, a PPP lesson plan, make sure you have 2 or 3 controlled activities, 3 or 4 freer activities, not just one of each. So you've got well-planned lessons and lots of materials in case you need them. That's a really good piece of advice there.
Cool. So plan B's, C's, and D's all sorted.
And also, ask you in the first lesson, ask your student why they want English, to make sure that you're focusing their classes on the right thing. For example, I mean, if a student says, I want to be able to, I have a meeting in 2 months, and I want to learn I want to speak English as if I were in a meeting. Well, you don't really want to start teaching them. You want to start doing grammar lessons with them. they want to do like a functional lesson on meetings. So make sure you're focusing on the right thing that your students need. Otherwise, they won't be motivated.
Yeah, that's great advice too. Thank you for that question. That was a really good one. We have another question from Craig Mallison. Hi, Craig.
Hi, Craig.
He's finding it extremely difficult to find paid work online or face-to-face without any teaching experience. So he says, is volunteering the way to go?
Same thing happened to me when I first started. I was knocking on doors and everybody said, oh, you need experience. I was lucky I had a little bit of experience before, but some people wanted a little bit more. And what I did was I volunteered. So I think volunteering is really good. I volunteered with a school for 3 months and they paid my bus fare and my tube fare to get to the place. They gave me a little bit extra at the end of the month as well. And I did that. And of course, on my CV, when I had 3 months experience teaching all different levels, it was in our private academy. That was it. I had no problem getting a job after that.
Yeah.
So voluntary work really does help. If a school is asking for experience, but there are many schools who are just really happy that you've done a TEFL course. So with many schools, having the TEFL course is enough because they know that you've been trained into making really dynamic and motivating lessons plans. So a lot of schools are happy just with that.
Yeah, and maybe there is another question here from Caroline Sen, which kind of goes into that as well. So I'll
Yeah.
bring that one up. She says she's completed a TEFL course, but she says what's relevant to include on her new CV. So that could also be helpful to the previous question as well. Kind of what does a great TEFL CV look like, I suppose.
We actually have on the site, on the TEFL Org site, we actually have recommendations of how to do a good CV.
Yeah,
For
we have an ultimate CV guide.
teaching.
So I think
Right, the guide.
if we can pop that in the comments as well so people can see it, that would be helpful. But yeah, sorry, go ahead, Thomas.
When I was hiring English teachers, when I was looking at CVs, I wanted to know any experience they had in any kind of teaching, and they wanted to know any teaching qualifications they had. I think even if you haven't had English teaching experience, if you've got any type of experience teaching, whether it be voluntary in a summer camp, sports, or anything, add that in. For example, if you imagine you don't have any, you don't have any teaching English classes experience, but you taught, I don't know, tennis with a range of age groups, put that in. Say, you've got teaching experience in tennis, and you like to transfer that experience to English classes using your the new knowledge that you've learned on your TEFL course. I don't think a couple of students, I remember they put they had bar work in the summer. I don't think an employer really needs. I think they really, when I was looking at CVs anyway, I was more interested in any kind of teaching experience you had. And even write a little bit about the experience you had. If there's a comment there on your CV about the experience that you had when you were doing your lesson plans for your TEFL course. Something like, it was fun to learn how to make dynamic classes, focusing on students' needs, so that you're focusing on how you would make your lesson plans fun. That's what they want to see.
Yeah, cool. Brilliant. Thanks, Thomas. And thanks for that question. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a question from Mark Angelo from Coventry. Hello.
Hello.
He asks, what's the difference between TEFL and CELTA?
They're both TEFL courses.
Yeah.
They're both TEFL courses. CELTA is with Cambridge English. Our TEFL course is with the TEFL Org. It is true that the CELTA although it's becoming less and less. Up till a few years ago, the CELTA was probably a lot more well known throughout English teaching world, and but not anymore. And a lot of the CELTA they're doing online as well, like we do now. But with the CELTA course, there is actually they actually have teaching practice with students. We don't have that. When you do the teaching practice, I mean, you do have teaching practice with us if you do a virtual course or if you do a classroom course, but you're kind of using your classmates as guinea pigs, as students. Whereas in the CELTA, you're using, as far as I know, you're using real life students. So that's kind of the main difference.
Yeah, great. Okay, so we've got a question from AJ Chen. Hello.
Hello.
And they have asked, is the virtual course and the physical classroom the same? So I guess that means about the content. Is it the same content?
Yeah, it's kind of more or less, yeah, it's the same content, but just one you're doing online and the other one you're doing face to face. We did that because of lockdown, because obviously we couldn't do classroom courses anymore. And this went on and on and on. And our students were saying, hey, we want to finish our course. And we thought, we were actually, I think we were the first TEFL provider in the world to make these courses virtual. We did it really quickly when lockdown came, as quickly as we could within a couple of weeks, because we realized that our students were missing their classroom courses and they wanted to do that. So we just transferred it over to virtual. We had to make, although the syllabus is the same and the materials are the same, the approach is different, because obviously doing it online and doing it face to face, it's not the same. It's not the same. But if you're doing the virtual course, you can easily transfer that to doing them classroom courses. So, for example, imagine you did a virtual course and the online course, and then next week you did a job teaching a class face to face. You just transfer that to face to face. I mean, it's not difficult, and vice versa.
Yeah. So it's all transferable skills. So
yeah, I think so. I mean, I know students or teachers who have done that, and they didn't find it very challenging or difficult.
Yeah, it's all the same principle, isn't it? Brilliant. Thank you for that question.
You're welcome.
We've got one from FDJ from South Africa. Hello.
Hello.
Who's currently enrolled on a level 5 course. So he's asking about accents and kind of what's required, I suppose.
Accents. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Accents. What's a neutral accent? Depends where you come from. I think I've got a neutral accent.
Yeah.
But for a Scottish person, someone from the US wouldn't think I had a neutral accent.
Yeah.
I think it depends where you come from. I think at the end of the day, I think what schools are looking for is someone that your students can understand. I mean, I'm from
just
Glasgow.
Speaking clearly.
Speaking clearly, I mean, I'm from Glasgow, and I wouldn't go into a class speaking like a Glaswegian. In saying that, it's really important that we expose our students to as many accents as possible, so that we're preparing them for the real world. Because I've got a little story here. I had this student, okay, let's call him Raimundo. That wasn't his name. It was in Madrid, and it was years ago. And he'd been learning English for 30 years, and I was his new tutor. And I went in there, and his English was textbook English. Hello, how are you? Very well, thank you. And you? Thank you, you're welcome. It was very textbook, really good, and his English was great, and he worked hard, and he was a fantastic student. But no one had ever taught him colloquial English. No one had ever taught him different accents. It was always like an RP, which is received pronunciation, which is a minor variety of English in the UK. Anyway, he went to London for the first time. He'd never been abroad, and he went to London. And I was his teacher when he went to London. He went to London for a business trip for 4 days, and he came back from London, and he was so annoyed. He was so cross, and he said, all these years I've been learning English, and he said, and my English teachers, I understood everything because they spoke very nicely and very calmly. But when I went to London, I didn't understand what anybody said. And I said, well, what do you mean, Raimundo? And he said, well, I went on the bus and they kept saying to me, ta and cheers. Cheers is when you're saying cheers when you've got a drink. He didn't know that they meant thank you and goodbye and things like this. So, yeah, when, it's important to, so I think what employers mean is they mean that you speak clearly for your students to understand, but at the same time, make sure that you expose your students when you're in class to different types of accents, as I said, just to prepare them for the real world.
Yeah, exactly. There's no real neutral accents nowadays. Well, I don't think there ever has been, but yeah.
Well, there's
Thank
actually
you for
in reality, there's actually no standard English because we don't have a Royal Academy that says that. It's like in Spanish, I think that they say that this is the kind of a standard Spanish. Okay, that we can argue, we can discuss that, but in English there isn't. So it just depends where you come from. But when you go for an interview, speak clearly and that people understand. Don't speak with a Glaswegian, Liverpudlian, or whatever accent. Keep it toned down.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thanks for that. Okay, we've got another question from Susie. She's got some questions about interviews, especially changing careers. Any ideas what questions they'll ask or what to expect from an interview?
Yeah, they'll ask, typical questions they ask you is, how do you plan your lessons? They'll say, how do you plan your lessons? What type of lesson plans do you do? And that's when it's really important to say, well, it depends on my students and it depends on their needs. I like to do a needs analysis with my students when I first meet them, and to find out, what they want to learn and find out how they like to learn as well. So that when you plan your lessons, you plan them around your students' needs, how they like to learn, and their preferences. So that way you're focusing your classes on your students. I think that's important. And also they're going to ask you something like, if your students, were misbehaving, what would you do? Especially naughty teenagers. We've had some of them. There are lots of ways, and we actually go into this in the course a little bit. You can have like a reward system. You can have a reward system. Where they, every time they do something, maybe speak in Spanish and don't speak in English. Hang on, I'm just going to put my heater off because it's making a noise. There you go. They get a point, and and at the end of the class, anybody that's got too many points maybe has to do a little bit of extra homework or something. It depends on how the class are. It's very important if you do something like this that you always give them an opportunity to remove those points. So some kind of reward system. Whereas if they're not doing very well in the reward system, you give them plenty of opportunities to do well on it as well. Games, activities that you can, for example, I remember I had students who were being naughty, and I realized it was because they didn't like the activity we were doing. So I think it's also important to know that your classes have to be flexible and change as quickly as possible. And you can say these kind of things to in an interview if they ask about how you would deal with difficult students. So, these are important kind of techniques that we use. And this is
brilliant.
what they'll ask
we
you.
do. Yeah, I was just going to say as well, we do have some advice on our blog about this. So if we can pop a link to kind of interview questions that might pop up in the comments, you'll be able to take a look in there as well and see what that says. So yeah, thank you for that question. We have one from Alex now.
Hello,
is the
Alex.
TEFL qualification uniform formally recognized regardless of which country you plan to teach in?
TEFL course is recognized throughout the world, everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes, and the TEFL Org, where we all work, is, as far as I know, the number one online TEFL provider in the world, and is recognized everywhere. Yes.
Yeah,
When
we've never
you
had a problem.
no, I mean, when you have a TEFL certificate, when you pass, feel sure you've got a high quality TEFL course there that's recognized all throughout the world.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we do have a few more questions.
Yes, fire away.
Got one from we've got one from Jeff, but the answer is no. Is there an opportunity to shadow teachers giving lessons just as a silent observer? So we don't have that opportunity, but we do have an advanced course in online teaching practice, which you might be able to say a bit about.
Sorry, say that again. There was a little glitch in the line there.
Oh, sorry. I blame the storms in BC. My connection's not great. Is there an opportunity to shadow teachers giving lessons? So we don't do that
No.
at TEFL Org, but we do have an online teaching practice advanced course. So I don't know if you could say just a bit about that, Thomas.
Do you mean the Teaching English Online, advanced course?
Yeah, the practice.
Well, the Teaching Online Advanced course specializes you. So, I mean, if you've done, specialize you on teaching English online, there are a couple of practice parts. There are two. I think you have to do two lesson plans, which you have to deliver online to your classmates. So that gives you practice and how to do it. And the good thing about doing this online teaching practice is that you don't just do it and then that's it over. You actually get feedback from your classmates and you get feedback from your tutors as well. And that's crucial because your fellow classmates are kind of pretending to be students and they'll give you feedback on how they felt being a student. And your tutor will then give you feedback as well from a tutor's point of view. And I think this feedback is crucial to help you to improve your lessons.
Yeah, great. That's good advice. Okay, I think we've got, it looks like one more question from Matthew Zimmer. That's Matthew. A good one. That's asking, would it be difficult to teach students without a native language in common?
No problem at all. And in fact, I know lots and lots of places that say, here in Spain, I know schools, and in Portugal, because I did work there, and they said, we don't want anybody who knows how to speak the language because as soon as our students find out you speak Spanish, they'll be speaking Spanish to you. So they're quite happy for someone not to speak the language. And I remember when I first came here, I didn't speak any Spanish. Now, a lot of tutors say, a lot of new teachers say, right, but how can I get students who don't know any English to understand me in, for example, Spain? And they don't speak English and I don't speak Spanish. The answer's simple. You use body language, images, flashcards. I mean, we go on about that we kind of do discuss that in the TEFL course. And in fact, when I first came to Spain, I didn't speak any Spanish. I said that before. I didn't understand anything. And when I went into a shop, they didn't translate things for me because they couldn't speak English. So you just have to learn yourself, again, by looking at people's visual body language, visual clues. People do pick things up. Translating stuff in the beginning of a class when you first start teaching. And I've seen teachers who with a lower level and they've started translating stuff And translating is a slippery slope, really, because it seems like a quick fix, but long term it's not. Because the students will start translating. They want everything translated. They want you to translate everything. And there are many things that you can't translate. And my experience in learning English, and I think anybody that speaks a second language, is the best way to learn a second language is not by translating it in your head, it's by trying to think in that language. So I think what we try to do in TEFL is we try to get our students not to translate it, is to actually think in English using body language, visuals, or any kind of tools that you can to get them thinking in the language. That's what we'd try to go for in TEFL. You know, careful with translating. It doesn't always work.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so I think we've got time for maybe one more question.
Yes, sure.
So we'll go for one from Rachel. Hello, Rachel.
Hello, Rachel.
Great name. I'm Rachel too. She says she prefers to teach adults. Is it going to make it harder to find work if you only want to teach adults?
I mean, obviously, if you specialize into a certain age group, you're minimalizing the amount of opportunities you can get to find work.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you're a teacher that says, you know, I'll do anything, there's a chance you'll get more offers. The good thing about specializing is that if you do specialize in, say, for example, just adults, it may take you a bit longer to build up your classes, but you specialize in adults, and then the school or the schools where you're working, or if it's, you know, you're freelance and you're working doing private classes, all adults will kind of come to you. You'll be the adult teacher teaching adults. So long term, you'll be the specialist in this, and adults will come to you. So maybe, at the beginning, you're kind of maybe limiting yourself, but then long term, you're specializing and will get more adult work. So
yeah, exactly. Specializing is a really good way of kind of increasing your job opportunities later on, but it is good to be kind of flexible, I think, when you first start as well. Hey,
well, what I was going to say was what I did and what I advise most teachers to do is in the beginning, especially for the first couple of years, teach as many different classes as you can. Young learners, adults, teenagers, whatever. So you can get as much experience as possible. And so that you can kind of see how every class is different. And you'd be amazed, because I know people that started out saying, I just want to teach adults. I don't want to teach kids. And then they went to a school, and the school said, well, you have to teach all different levels and age groups. And they went, yeah, okay. And then they started teaching, for example, kids. And they said, oh, wow, I actually prefer teaching kids than adults. So you never know. So my advice, I mean, if you want to specialize, that's fine. But my advice is to get as much experience as possible, is to expand that. Teach all different age groups, all different kinds of students for a couple of years until you're really sure to get experience. And it also makes you really positively sure that you just want to teach adults, because you never know.
Yeah, you never know. Brilliant. Thanks for that, Rachel. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. I think that's just about all we've got time for today. But if you have got any questions, then you can ask them in. We've got a Facebook group you can join, which I think my colleague Erin has been posting in the comments there. So you can look at that. We've also got, you can follow us on Instagram as well and ask questions there. And of course, we're also available on web chat, email, and over the phone as well. You can find those details in the contact us section of the website. So yeah, if you have got any more questions, just let us know. We'll be happy to answer. And thank you, Thomas, for answering all of our questions.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. And thank you, everybody. And to all my students and everybody who's on here as well, thank you. And thanks for your questions. Glad to help.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Okay,
We'll see you
everybody.
next week.
Take care.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.